Hi, everybody. I'm Victoria Thurman Hall, and I'm signature studio artist at our Calabasas brand new Wella studio here in California. I'm a master color expert, and I'm the master color expert lead. And I'm here today with Sarah, and Sarah and I are going to actually take you through the formula that always works. Now, I know it kind of sounds like, what is she talking about, the formula that always works? Here we go. When it comes to the formula, I'm going to help you guys out with some tips and some tricks that help you come up with the best hair color that you possibly can. So to start off, let's just say it comes to using hair plus formula plus what you do equals result. So I'm going to actually take a look right now and use a tool to help me figure out all about Sarah's hair, and then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks so that you can do it as well. So Sarah and I had a conversation earlier about what her end goal is for her hair. And I find that really getting to know somebody takes at least 5 minutes of time to figure out who and what they want to do with their hair. So that's kind of the lifestyle side of your consultation. But for me, that technical side is also super, super important, and we need to use our tools to understand it. Let's start off with understanding some of the fundamental things about hair color. When it comes to the laws of hair color, we have to understand those to help us use our tools. So this is our natural level indicator. We use it to help figure out where we're starting with the hair. And I find that a lot of people really don't use it properly. So I wanted to go through and make sure that everybody understands. One of the first things that we understand with color is that the more hair that you have, the darker it looks. So somebody with a lot of hair will actually look darker than somebody who has just a little bit of hair. And that same thing holds true when it comes to using our natural level indicator. So when I use the natural level indicator, I'm right-handed, so I put it in my left hand. It's on a curve, so I actually get in here and set it into my hand this way. I want to use light. So when I'm looking at doing my natural level indicator, I have to use light, not look into light, but actually use light. But how am I going to figure out how to make this dark-looking swatch be reflective of a medium blonde versus looking very deep and dark? Well, here's how my tip works. I hold it in my left hand and I put my middle finger behind the number that I think it is. I take and put my thumb and I'm pinching the cardboard. Then I actually move the hair aside so I have just a tiny amount of hair to put into Sarah's hair. So I'm going to turn her and have her tilt, and I'm going to show you that that is just too light. She isn't a medium blonde, so I'm going to move on to figure out what level she really is. So you'll see, again, I'm putting my middle finger behind a dark blonde, pinching the cardboard, pulling it aside, and I have just a few sprigs, and I just insert it into the hair and kind of bounce it around to see if I can track it. If I can track it, if it's too light or if it's too dark against her hair, then I know it's not her natural level. The dark blonde completely disappears into her hair, so I know that she's a dark blonde. All right, so I've established that she's a dark blonde. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm actually going to use my tool to go all the way through her hair structure to be able to use the formula hair plus the formula plus what you do equals the result. I need to be able to figure out what her natural level is, what her colored level is, so I'm going to continue that process the whole way through. Now, I've done that already, but I just want to demonstrate really quickly how you can go through and use the natural level indicator. One of the things that I see a lot is where people actually go in and kind of use it this way, where they're taking it upside down and they use the hair that is on the natural level indicator against the hair that you have on your head. Well, the problem with that is it doesn't have the same shine refraction. So when I kind of bounce this back and forth, you see how I've got a beautiful shine that mirrors what kind of shine I have in the hair. If I go against it, I don't have that same shine. So always keep your natural level indicator down when you're using your natural level indicator. So going through it, I've already determined that she is an 8. Sorry, I apologize. She is a medium blonde, which is a level 7, and moving into a level 8 on the very ends of her hair. So here's another tip that I'm going to help you out with if you're in doubt, because when you use the natural level indicator, they're on our natural range. So when we use a natural range against somebody who has a copper hair color, really we are going to see light refraction off of the warm hair and not so much off of the natural. That's okay. Let me just give you a couple of tips, and if you stick around until the end of the video, you'll see them on how to use your natural level indicator a little bit more. So let me show you. I did a model casting with Sarah, and when Sarah came in, she actually had green hair. So I picked a model just like what would happen within your world at the salon, at my world at the salon, and Sarah came in with green hair, and I said, I want to make you copper. Well, how am I going to do that? So let's take a look at what Sarah's hair looked like prior, so that you can have a good understanding of what her hair color looks like, or looked like. And this morning when she first came in, I actually used Color Renew in order to get out her color that she had within her hair. And I used that for 45 minutes underneath a dryer, hooded dryer. And then you see we have this beautiful color that's underneath and ready to go for me to color. All of that had to happen for me to be able to make her a beautiful copper today. So again, it's hair plus the formula plus what you do that creates the result. So the tools that I have, like Color Renew, are going to help me get to my end goal. Good? All right. So the next thing that I need to do is to mix up some color. And when it comes to using your tools properly, like I really love our bowls that we have at the studio with Wella, because when you use them, they have this little dip, and it's so perfect because I don't like to rest my brushes in my color, because if my brushes, my tools are kind of colored up and yucky, well, then I'm not going to be able to put color where I need it to go. So that's why I like tools like this. I prefer to use them. We use them here at the studio. It's ergonomic, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a few minutes. All right, so when it comes to mixing, I bet you guys are going to be wondering about the formula. And the formula is Illumina Color, and it is 10 parts 7-stroke 4-3, so it's a medium blonde that is red gold, and 1 part of 7-stroke 3-5. And so that's also a medium blonde that is gold with a hint of mahogany in it. I just want to keep it nice and soft at the roots, and I don't want to create it very, very hot. I'm going to do like a shadowed root because she's got finer hair. And when I mix, I want to make sure it's all mixed together. So here's a pet peeve and a tip for you guys when it comes to mixing. What I can't stand is when somebody has like a whole bunch of developer up on the sides, because when you pick up your color and you have it on your brush, if you have developer on this brush, now it's not 1-to-1, which is what I mixed Illumina Color 1-to-1. So you'll see whenever I set my brushes down, now my bowl won't get messy, my brush won't get messy, and I keep it really, really clean. And I don't dip. I'm not a dipper. I'm actually a scooper, so I put a bead on my color. And I'm going to show you how to put it into her hair. So figuring out what you have of a canvas also means you have to figure out texturally what somebody's hair is. Sarah's hair is very fine in the front to fine in the back. So I need to start where she is a little coarser, and that begins right about here. So let me show you how I determine that. I'm going to turn her to the side and just lift and kind of show you the difference. So when you look here, you can see how much finer and less dense that hair is compared to how much more dense it is, but also the quality of her hair is much tinier and versus the back being a little bit coarser. So I'm going to get in and start applying now, and what I like to do is I have a comb in my hand on one side, and what that comb is for is to kind of pull back my hair whenever I'm using or applying the color. So let me just kind of work and show you. I'm going to start with putting in the hair color. That's where my bead really, really comes into play, because as I go through the hair color, I know it sounds super, super simple and it's kind of a duh, but hair color, if it's not on the hair, it's not coloring the hair. And so many people try and stretch their dollars and make it to where one tube fits one person and that's it for everybody. But the truth of the matter is you have different people, different genetics, and different amounts of hair on somebody's head. So you've always got to adjust to be able to make sure that you're doing the right formula and the right tips and tricks and putting the hair color in the hair. So the next thing is taking a very, very fine section now that I have outlined it. Come in, I use my comb to back off the hair that's there, and I lift up and I put my bead on. And a lot of people ask me things like, well, Vic, why do you do a bead and why do you only hit it twice? So let me just kind of work it through so I can show you. Again, really thin section. And what I want to do is be able to 1, 2, and then I tend to pick up. So you'll see how much hair color I'm going to really change her hair color. So I need more product. So let me show you the reason behind 1, 2, instead of applying it 3 different times. Got my bead, and I apply 1, 2, 3. I'm going to tilt her head, and I'm going to show you. You have more hair color here than you do on that third shot.
Victoria.
Yeah.
We have a question from Cassia Najwer from Scotland, and she wants to know what developer you're using.
Great question. So I appreciate you asking that, because when it comes to the reasons why I need to know where I start is truly to help me figure out what developer that I'm using. She is a natural level 6, so I am using a 20 volume to help me to get to my level 7 that I'm using. So 20 volume is going to help you get that one level of lift, and that is why I'm using a 20 volume. It's a great question. All right, so you can see as I'm moving in, I'm taking very fine sections and I'm lifting up the hair and applying it, and I'm putting a generous amount on her hair and really coming in and applying it at the root only. And here's the thing, I see a lot of people when they apply, they kind of sweep, they kind of take that color and sweep through. Watch as I put it down onto the hair. It's kind of a press and pull, press and pull. I'm not sweeping it through that hair. So when I come in and I apply the color, I'm really placing it where I need to. Think of it, we've got a makeup artist in the room, so anybody that does makeup knows when you want more saturation, you do more of like a stipple effect. Think of it like stippling versus coming in and using a brush for sweeping across the hair. Taking those very thin sections. When it comes to the technical side of doing hair color, I think we all really want to jump in and just start doing hair. And getting to know Sarah and what she likes within her hair and what she doesn't like within her hair is super important to be able to figure out what we're doing from a goal standpoint. So if I don't take the time to do that, I don't have the right to come in with a formula and figure out what we're going to do. I kind of think of my role as a master color expert mentor is somebody to help you and help people figure out the best thing to do for the hair. And yes, that's a lot of technical side, that's a lot of understanding chemistry, but truly the hardest part about being a master is about being able to understand what your client wants that's sitting in the chair. I always say it's the most important thing is to get what's in here out of here so that you can put it on their head. And that really begins with the communication side of it. So taking just 5 minutes and figuring out what somebody is willing to do for maintenance. If she wasn't willing to do her hair color monthly, I wouldn't be using permanent hair color. I might be using something else like Color Touch. So it's one of those things that it's really super important to kind of figure out who you're dealing with, so then that can help you pick the right products and pick the right tools to be able to come in and apply them on her hair. So some of the other tips that I want to walk you guys through. You'll notice that when I'm using my brush, I'm coming in and I'm not setting my comb up into the hair because I want to put my comb out of the hair color, not in the hair color, so that when we're doing it, I'm using it to hold back that hair and be able to press it into the hair. You'll see I'm applying very, very generously because she is going to be a transformational look. And coming in, I want to make sure that I've got that completely saturated. But look at my brush. I can just flip it from top to bottom without any problems from the standpoint of where I'm putting my hand, my wrist. Because remember, one of the elements of the formula that always works is hair plus formula plus you. And if I am not working, if I have a hurt wrist or if I have a hurt back or something, ergonomically, I need to be able to pick tools, pick products that help me so that I don't have to work harder. And let's face it, I want to be in this industry a lot longer. I've been doing hair for 25 years, and I always feel like there's even more to learn. There's always something that you can pick up. And that's the benefit of things like what Wella Education does. All right, I'm going to keep plowing around here and moving in nice thin sections. You'll see that when I come in here, I have, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, like I usually use a mirror to help me, and a lot of people ask me, well, Vic, do you stand behind your clients? I try to, because one of the things that I can't stand is having like an armpit in my face or when somebody's doing my hair color. So for me, I try and stand behind so that they can continue to look at me and have a conversation with me whilst I'm doing their hair color.
Victoria, we have a question from Jenna Hood, and she wants to know what age you became a master colorist.
When did I become a master colorist? Well, let's just put it this way. I think when it comes to being a master color expert and a master colorist, it took probably about 6 years of me screwing things up before I even became a true professional at what I'm doing. It is probably a 7-8 year journey of being in the hair industry, honestly, before I really felt comfortable calling myself a master. And that is probably, like, honestly, I had to do a lot of screwing up. I feel like we all have to do a lot of screwing up to understand the right things to do. And that's how I learn. So probably a good 8 years into it, and I've been doing hair, believe it or not, almost 25 years. So but I'm still learning. I always feel like mastery isn't a period at the end of a sentence, but truly, truly a ... because there's always things I'm working on from the standpoint of cutting or styling or more chemistry. Those are the things that really, truly continue that journey on. So you ask, when did I become a master colorist? And I'm going to say 8 years in, I really started taking what I do to that mastery level. And I say that mastery level took probably 2 years to get there, but I'm still on that journey. Bottom line, still on that journey. But thanks for asking.
Victoria, Carl's Nails wants to know, is cream developer better than regular developer for gray hair?
Cream developer versus regular developer. So when it comes to Wella color, we have one dedicated developer when we use it with our Coleston Perfect for gray-white coverage. So we have a creamier developer. We do not have like what I'm going to assume a little bit here that maybe you're talking like a liquid developer or a regular developer that way. We do not recommend using a different developer than what we have within Wella, because how our technology works actually is in part because of what the developer is and dedicated to our brands. So it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but I hope it helps.
Now, for some new people that are tuning in right now, Wendy Michael Walton would like to know your formula again.
Absolutely. My formula again is Illumina Color, 1:1. I'm using a 20 volume, and I'm using 10 parts of 7-stroke 4-3 to 1 part of 7-stroke 3-5. So a dark blonde that's red gold, and then a medium blonde that is gold with a little bit of a rosé. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is to show you what I'm going to be switching up and doing in the back. When it comes to this back area, that hair, there's a certain point where it doesn't want to stay up when I'm coloring. So I like to, and this is a really good tip, guys, I like to switch it to a diagonal, and I keep it at a 45 degree so that you can really keep that hair up. If you go too high or too low, that hair will flop back into what you're doing. So normally I would stand here, but to be able to have you guys be able to see it, I'm going to stand right here. So I'm just going to come in and apply her hair color in this back area on a 45, and coming in and just applying, and you'll see it stays up much better. Much better? Is that good English today? Hard to see? All right, let me just, I'm right-handed, so I start on the left side, and I'm going to have you tilt just so that the audience can see just a little bit. And I'm going to come around as quick as I possibly can so that you guys can see it. But I've got to kind of stay in here and work through. So I'm coming in on a diagonal and working through the color. How are we doing? Getting to see it a little better now? Yeah.
Liza Torres would like to know what is the difference between Coleston Perfect 7-stroke 4-3 and Wella Illumina 7-stroke 4-3.
Oh, you know what? I'm so glad you asked, because when it comes to being able to understand what type of brands that we have, the difference between Coleston Perfect 7-stroke 4-3 and Illumina 7-stroke 4-3 are really you have to think in Coleston Perfect, we call the red section where the 7-stroke 4-3 would be, we call that our vibrant reds, right? So when you think of a 7-stroke 4-3 in Coleston Perfect, think more fashion shades, versus in Illumina, you're thinking more natural, more somebody could have been born with that. And that's where we land with Sarah in the choice for Illumina versus Coleston Perfect, is I'm really coming in from a standpoint of she wants really beautiful, natural-looking copper hair versus something that would be like a fashion shade. So that's where we're coming from. So think Illumina, think more natural, think soft. It's got a violet rosé base. So whenever you see it processed, especially the 7-stroke 4-3, you'll see that kind of purpley undertone. It has a nice, beautiful consistency to it too, that when you see the color, it's soft, it's not artificial, and light is just super reflective. And with Coleston Perfect, if she wanted a fashion shade, I definitely would have gone there and created a real punch to the hair color. The difference is Sarah wanted natural. But that's a great question. One of the fun things that you can do if you want to learn more about the brands too is to download the Wella app. I recommend that to everybody because you can do education in your pajamas and really just sit there and kind of absorb and go through the product knowledge so that you have an understanding of how to use the product. And then that way when you get your education, you can really kick it up and like ask the educators some of the how-tos and get your hands in there quicker. So studying on the fly. Can you see it really good now? Yeah? All right, so you'll see this diagonal helps that hair stand up. And normally I stand behind her to do this. So you're seeing kind of a way for me to do it so that you guys can see. And so it's not as ergonomic, but with a brush like this, I'm actually able to get in here and still be really able to see it and not have to have my wrist in a wonky position. Coming in, doing these last bits of section. I think keeping your tools really, really clean and really pristine is something that I take a lot of pride in. I buy scissors, and when I buy scissors, I put them in a case. And so when I love a tool, when I love a brush, I want to take care of it. I don't want to just pick up any old brush and use it. So I take my tools and I treat them like I do my scissors. And for me, then that sets me apart from other colorists because I'm coming in and I'm using a tool coming out of a case, and it really does set me apart from other people. Coming in, and I'm just brushing it gently.
There's a question from Savas Paulus, great name. Do you think that Illumina color lasts more than Coliston Perfect, especially copper and champagne blondes?
Do I think Illumina color lasts longer? Well, here's the thing. There's another part of this formula that I really just kind of want to stress, and that I kind of alluded to that in the beginning. And when it comes to the client consultation, understanding what products to pick and why to pick them is truly in taking some time and getting to know your client. And if somebody wants to go red, I've got to have them on board with buying the right products to support that. And that can mean, do you flat iron your hair? Well, then you need heat protection. Do you color your hair with hot water? Then we need to stop that. So for me, I don't see a difference in my clients that go red with Illumina or champagne blonde with Illumina versus if I do that in Coliston Perfect, because I am stressing that home maintenance left and right. I get them on board with our journey. You really want to make sure that they're using the right products, and that will help you keep the hair color on longer. And I have to say, they're with their hair longer than you are. I'm with them for 2 hours. They're using their hair the 6 weeks, 4 weeks that I'm not with them. So truly, it's all about making sure that you and they are on the same page. And I hope that helps you guys. All right, coming into the last bits, I'm going to turn her just a tiny bit so I can see a little bit more and getting in here and finishing it up.
Carlos Nails would like to know, what circumstances do you use heat for coloring hair?
Okay, that's a really good question too, because what do I want to use when would I use heat? All right, so I'm going to clarify what type of heat that Wella recommends that you use, and the only recommended tool that we use is a Climazon. So I kind of feel like this, and when I'm using a Climazon, I am using a tool to help me get done faster, but there are times when I don't use it. For example, special blondes in Coliston Perfect, let those sit out in the air. Don't go and put them right underneath your hooded dryer or ever put it under your hooded dryer, but put it underneath a Climazon. Let that sit, let it do its job, and take your time with it. When it comes to utilizing the Climazon. I use it when I need it, but I'd never use a hooded dryer. Let me come back to that for just a second because I want to just show you how I'm going to just take this and drop it and take this hair and pull it down in one fell swoop. Super, super fast. And now all of that hair is coming back and away from what she's doing. And now I'm going to come into the front of the head. But to do that, I actually need to remix because hair color should be remixed every 15 minutes if it's got about a 30-minute processing time. And that will help you as well. I find a lot of people don't, they mix their color one time and then they do the whole head. Well, I find that if I do a hair color and I mix every 15 minutes, the power of my bowl from when I started to when I end is always going to be the same. I'm going to have that kind of consistency. So that's a big tip, guys, is to be able to understand that color can only do what you're doing with it. And remixing every 15 minutes for Colestron Perfect and Lightener will help you in the end run. Okay, so coming into the front, I'm going to start taking sections and just applying, getting it back and back. One of my huge problems with getting my hair color on myself is that I'm constantly looking in that mirror. And let's face it, guys, getting your hair colored is not a cute process. And so when I come in and I'm applying hair color, I like everything to come back so that I don't have to have the hair all wild and crazy when I'm looking in the mirror, or for myself, let alone for my clients. So it's like a customer service point of view, and really coming in and helping make them feel beautiful while they're at the salon. So you'll see I'm not applying on both sides of the strands anymore. I'm only coming in and applying back. So I'm going to have you put your chin up just a tiny bit. Perfect. And you'll see I have her adjust a little bit versus myself. Remember, hair plus formula plus you equals the result. So you are working a 12-hour day, 10-hour day, so you'll want to make sure that you have your clients help you out with just gently tilting their head back and coming in and helping you get that hair color on a little bit easier versus you trying to do something all weird with your body. So nice thin sections, picking up and applying. And moving into the other side. So you'll see that when I apply my hair color, I'm not doing it in quadrants or doing one side, then another side, then another side, and another side. You'll see I'm always moving back and forth. I do that when it comes to foiling. I do that when it comes to hair color, because then if I need to change my formula or adjust my formula, I'm really just going to be able to make sure that everything comes up beautifully all together. That way I can do foils down here from side to side and come up the head and do side to side. And if I need to remix, then everything is balanced versus coming up one side and then another.
Gustavo Amador wants to know, what Wella products do you recommend with red hair?
Oh, what products do I recommend for red hair? Well, I am a huge fan of Brilliance shampoo and conditioner sets going home for red hair. And that is like a starting. Also, you want to make sure that you send them home with leave-in conditioner. Leave-in conditioner is super important if they have length of hair to help with the condition of their hair. But then let's go one step further. It's not just shampoo and conditioner and leave-in, it's also what do they do to their hair? Are they using a flat iron? Are they using a curling iron? Do they blow dry their hair daily? All of those things are going to help me with figuring out what to do with their hair. Because if you've got red hair and then you take and you crisp and fry it with a flat iron, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to just push that color right out with heat. So you've got to teach them how to do their hair. It's not just products. It's about that communication between you and your client. So heat protection and layering it on for them really, really helps. Things like our IME Perfect Me has heat protection as a beautiful, beautiful lotion that you can put on the hair. And it's a nice product for people that aren't really using product from the starting point. But if they're using a blow dryer, if they're using a curling iron, a flat iron, then you want to teach them about IME's thermal image. But that's a fantastic question because red hair, we know it's the hardest to keep. So you really want to make sure that they're doing their part at home. Teach them about taking and how to shampoo. Like I feel like people know, like, okay, it's not a big deal. I can shampoo anyway. But talk them through the conditioning process. I already did this with Sarah. I already talked to her about when you put your conditioner on, hang a towel over your shower door and towel blot your hair before you put your conditioner in. Instead of putting it on sopping wet hair, if you're going to use the Brilliance shampoo, Brilliance conditioner, and if you need to use a mask once in a while, why put it on sopping wet hair? Make sure you're putting it on semi-dry hair so the product does its best for you. Just kind of like it's that whole process between you and them. So you asked a loaded question. I don't know if you can tell. I'm super passionate about getting them on board with keeping their hair color and picking the right thing for them.
Is there any Wella color that is lower base but with violet or cendré as they can only see blue in the lower shades?
I'm not really sure I'm understanding that one, Diego. Can you read that to me once again?
I will. That's a long one. Is there any Wella color that is a lower base but with violet or cendré as they can only see blue in the lower shades?
Okay, so I'm not really sure what they're asking, but I am going to answer in a way that can help, I think, I hope. So type your comments if it's not helpful, but I am going to kind of gear you that way. You have to think, Colestone Perfect has a brown base. Its little sister, a base that has a demi-permanent, would be called Color Touch, right? So we have Colestone Perfect that is a brown base, Color Touch that is a brown base. Both of them are more saturated. Illumina is more sheer. Well, what do I want to do if I want to create an Illumina look through her ends and use a demi-permanent hair color? Well, I don't have something necessarily that would look exactly like it, but I can make it. Think about Illumina having a violet rosé base. Violet rosé. Then if you walk over to your Color Touch, like don't do that right now, stay with me. But if you walk over to your Color Touch area and you look in your vibrant red sections, you will actually find your 10-stroke 6. 10-stroke 6 is in the vibrant reds because it has a violet rosé base. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll use my Color Touch 10-stroke 6 to soften, dilute, if you will, any shade that I want to create. So let's say I wanted to use an 8-stroke 4-3 look in Illumina through Sarah's ends. Might do this yet, we'll see. I'd use 1 part 10-stroke 6, 1 part 8-stroke 4-3 to give it that violet rosé, less saturated look. So try your 10-stroke 6 in Color Touch to give you a base, like a demi-permanent, and soften up your shades so you'll get that more translucency that you're looking for from Illumina. Hope that helps.
Do you have a good formula for rose gold color?
Yeah, so rose gold. What's a good formula for rose gold? Remember, in the title of this, kind of gutsy, what's the formula that works? So remember, it's hair plus formula plus what you do with it that equals the result. So when it comes to rose gold, it depends on where I'm starting on it. And if you Google rose gold, guys, you're going to see everything from a copper color to a champagne color. So a rose gold can mean many, many things, like a light pinkish tint to a kind of mahogany feel with gold. So when it comes to understanding what to formulate, you've got to figure out where they are in the same page. So there's lots of options. Illumina 10-stroke 05, a light blonde that has a natural, it's natural, but it also has a little bit of that rose violet to begin with. You put that on a level 9, that's the important part, the hair part of it. If you put that on a level 9, then you're going to have a little bit of that gold undertone that'll help you with coming up with your formula. If you don't like that one, you can use things like 8-stroke 4-3 in Color Touch with a 10-stroke 0 and a touch of 10-stroke 6. There's lots of options. My best piece of advice when it comes to wanting to find out how the color works is when you're experimenting, and if you want to do it on swatches, is to start with like half formulas. So half of a formula, and then if it's too much, you can go one side or the other. But really, it's just about playing with it and then getting on the same page as your clients. Coming into the front, I'm going to show you guys a couple of tips and tricks. You'll see all this color is coming back completely. And I am going to turn her so that you guys can see some of the fun stuff around the hairline that I'm going to do. One of my pet peeves is when somebody comes in and they put a dark color on and it stains the skin, and clients leave with staining on their skin. So for removal of the color, don't put any water on the hair until you've rubbed that color off, and then put your rinse on and just put a little bit of water and emulsify. And I do that all over the head because I can't stand staining. So what I'm going to show you will be another factor in why I can't stand staining on skin and how I come in and do it. So you'll see I'm just coming in around this front hairline and always sweeping it back.
So we have another great question from Carol Salon, and they want to know what is the difference between Color Charm and Colistin Perfect?
So what's the difference between Color Charm and Colistin Perfect? So Color Charm is one of our brands that we have that is an affordable brand, and it is a different base and it's a different technology. And then Colistin Perfect has a different technology as well. So they're not the same thing. I get asked this a lot about like our products that you would find in some of our stores, and they are completely different and unique with unique technologies. I just want to show you guys this around the front hairline that I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take the fine side teeth of my comb, and I'm going to be pushing it into this front hairline because I don't want her to stain. So I load up my brush, and then I put it on my fine side of my comb. And I'm just going to gently kind of get in here and lightly wisp these on to the hair and not the skin. And this will help with some of that issues that you get with going into that front getting stained. So if you have a problem with it riding up your comb, I just come in and push it down and then gently come in and tap it into her hairline. And I'm going to do this all around her hairline and just come in and gently, what I'm trying to not do is get it on her skin. So you'll see I can just pick up the hair and I'm gently placing it, and if that color starts riding up your comb again, you just line it up where you need it to be. So I'm using my tools effectively so that when I apply, I get really beautiful, beautiful results. So I'm going to turn her and do the other side. Almost did her like in the salon, and almost turned her around to my other side. So sometimes I forget I have to cheat the camera. I'm just talking, I feel like I'm having a conversation, just doing some fun. So keep posting your questions because I am super excited you guys are interacting. Thank you. All right, coming into this.
Would you be able to, there's some people that are joining in late, can you tell us your formula again, please?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the formula that I'm using on Sarah, I'm using Illumina Color 1-to-1 with 20 volume because she's starting at a level 6. And I'm using 10 parts of my 7-stroke 4-3 and 1 part of my 7-stroke 3-5. So I'm using a red with a little bit of gold and then gold with a little bit of rosé in it, just to kind of soften up that base. Great question, though. And I'm using the 20 volume because the 20 volume for Illumina Color will actually help you in the long run to get to just one level of lift. So I want to show you one more tip that if you don't like the comb idea or not used to it, dip into your brush and do it diagonally, and then you can lightly feather it the same way, and then by turning your brush to the side and kind of meandering it through these baby fine wispy things that she has. Look how tiny they are, itty bitty. It's okay. Most of us have these like little itty bitty hairs, and the first thing that people want to do is they want to take and place their comb down. I just need to get in here and do this last section, and I have to turn her just a little bit so that I'm in front of you guys. I apologize. I just need to get this color on my last bit, and you'll see she doesn't look all crazy with her hair everywhere. It's all back. It's nice and clean. So it actually can help you with keeping the environment looking good and helping your clients feel pretty while they're getting a process that isn't always that cute. Coming in, gently tapping it through. These little baby hairs. And if you get color on their skin, like what I just did, we have the stain remover that I'll immediately kind of get that off. Just don't let it sit for the entire processing time, which she's going to process for about 30 minutes. That's my estimate, because I believe wholeheartedly in checking my work before I take the hair color down. So you'll see all her hair is back. And all of it's back, and I am done with applying. So that tip that I told you about using your natural level indicator, whenever you're using lightener or you're trying to figure out by using bleach how light you've lifted, you have to examine it underneath with hair that is dry. So I have my natural level indicator, and I just want to show you a tip if you can't figure it out, because remember when you lift, hair color is always a little bit warm. So these natural level indicators are cool, and when it comes to your exposed contributing pigment, it's warm. So don't be afraid to use it. Like open up the natural level indicator and go, what level is she? So she is a level 8. When I really take a look at this, she's got these ends, that just the tips ends of her hair is a level 8. But when I move further up, she's more of a 7. So that's a big tip to help you figure out what level that she's at. And I'm not afraid to use my tools. A lot of people are like, well, as a master, shouldn't you be able to know? Well, that's the reason why I do highlights and lowlights. If I put highlights on somebody's hair, I can make their face look longer, or I can make their face broader by putting in highlights. By putting in lowlights, I can actually kind of push things in. That's a trick of color, so we should always use it. Think about makeup. We do that in contouring. So it's the same thing, guys. Don't let your eyes be tricked into seeing warm colors too light. Really use your tools properly.
What process do you recommend for very resistant gray hair?
Oh, this is probably my favorite question of all time.
From Caro's Nails again.
Oh,
good
well,
one.
There you go.
We're on a roll.
So my favorite thing to use for covering gray is really my hands. It's hair plus formula plus what you do. when it comes to gray-white coverage, hair that is resistant, it needs even more product, and it needs to be completely encapsulated with the product. So we're talking about really, really putting more product on than you're probably used to, but that's the number one thing to resistant gray-white hair, is making sure you're putting enough product in. By not putting in the right amount of product, you're never going to get that beautiful coverage that you're looking for. And then make sure you stay within your naturals. So your stroke zeros within Colestone Perfect, your stroke 01s, so a little bit of ash with your natural, as well as stroke 03s, a little bit of gold, and stroke 07s with a little bit of chocolate into your formula. And then Illumina also covers gray. It's just a little bit sheer, a little bit softer. And those you would use your stroke pures. Those are the ones that have nothing behind the stroke. So I hope that helps you with gray-white coverage and being able to use your tools effectively. So I just kind of want to say I'm super stoked to be able to be here on Facebook Live and to be talking to you through Wella Ed. I am super stoked about doing hair color. I'm a total hair color nerd. So being able to talk these tips and tricks for you are really, really near and dear to my heart. So remember, it's hair plus formula plus what you do that makes the result. And you will see Sarah's end result later on today. We'll put it in the comments sections below, and wait till you see her transformation, because she's agreed to some really fun stuff for me to be able to do. And I hope you enjoy it. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you guys again soon. So here she is. Here's Sarah's after. I'm super excited about it. I really feel like it brings out her personality with the cute short cut, extenuating her curl, and this beautiful copper creation that we've got. I'm super happy with her hair color, and so is Sarah. Let me tell you what I did while I wasn't on camera so that you can get the full idea of the complete look. While her root was processing, I went in with Color Touch, kind of spritzed it down a little bit to have even moisture throughout the ends. And then I put 10 stroke 6 equal parts with 8 stroke 4-3 in Color Touch. And I did 1 part of that to 2 parts of my 1.9% pastel, my 1.9% developer. So get in here, let's take a look so you can see this deeper base and then these lighter bits. And I just used a little bit of Perfect Me and a little bit of Flowing Form. And then I put on my fingertips a little bit of our Stay Essential Hairspray and kind of just zhuzhed it up a little bit. But it's super cute. She can do it a lot of different ways. I left this a little bit longer because she hadn't had short hair in a while, so I just wanted her to be able to play with it going back or forward so she felt like she had some length. But I really feel like it accentuated her cheekbone, made her freckles come together, and now we've got this really cute do, and I'm super, super excited about her look. And the really fun thing is she can play with it in any way that she wants. It's a big, huge transformation, and if you don't remember what she looked like before, let me show you that after one more time. Yeah, it's a totally different person. And what's really fun about it is when it's all done and you have a model or a client that gets this kind of transformation, and when she stands up and she's super excited and she gives you a hug, it kind of makes your day, and that's why I'm a hairdresser. So thank you so much for your time today. I talked a lot about formulation, and the formula that always works is the hair, the formula, and what you do to create the result. Thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.